Ongoing developments in West Africa are deeply troubling. Military coups in Mali, Guinea, Burkina Faso, and Niger threaten the democratic progress we have worked so hard to achieve within the ECOWAS community. These coups are stark reminders that democracy is indeed fragile and must be continually nurtured.
I think these people cannot leave us with this illusion of democracy. Mr. President, why can't you guys just leave our leaders in the Sahel alone? You are talking about our democracy being fragile. Why won't our democracy be fragile when we democratically elect you people into office and then you go into that particular office and turn yourself to be dictators, democratically dictators? We have a lot of you guys in Africa. We democratically elect you, but you will go into that particular office and turn yourself to be dictators. So before you come attacking or talking about coup d'etats in the Sahel, you have to first of all ask yourself what you are doing in your countries, your specific countries. Is that not warrant for coup d'etats? You are very lucky. You are living in 3 months from now. You are leaving office peacefully. But Mr. President, can you proudly say that the kind of situation that your country citizens are going through, your Ghanaian country citizens are going through, does not warrant coup d'etat? So before you come preaching to us about democracy, you should first of all let us know what has democracy, your so-called democracy, did for us, Mr. President. I want us to go and listen to his full speech as he bid his farewell to the UN General Assembly. Come back and analyze it because he spoke a lot. But as you know, I don't know who wrote the speech for him. But the reality is that most Ghanaians are telling us that what Mr. President is saying is not true. It's far from the truth. But let's first listen to him, come back and analyze it.
Madam President, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, I cannot help but reflect on the significance of this moment, as this will be my final opportunity to address the United Nations General Assembly as I enter the closing months of my presidency. Over the past 8 years, I've had the privilege of speaking on several variations of the essential themes that quite properly dominate the deliberations of this global assembly: the condition of humanity and the state of the planet. Serving the people of Ghana, and by extension those of West Africa, Africa, and the world, has truly been the greatest blessing of my life. Indeed, being here this morning fills me with both pride and humility. Pride in the limited progress we have made together as nations, and humility in recognizing the challenges that still remain. My time as president has been deeply fulfilling, and I'm profoundly grateful for the trust placed in me by my fellow Ghanaians. It has been an honor to serve them and to contribute to advancing peace, security, and development on the global stage. Mr. President, Madam President, I'm here with a heart full of hope, yet mindful of the great challenges that still confront us. As President of the Republic of Ghana and as a citizen of the world, I'm acutely aware of the shared responsibility we carry. Our work here is nothing less than shaping the future of humanity, a future that will affect generations long after we are gone. Leaving no one behind, acting together for the advancement of peace, sustainable development, and human dignity for present and future generations, reminds us that the decisions we take here will define whether we rise to meet the hopes of billions or continue to let inequalities and injustice persist. We owe it to those who look to this body for leadership to act and not just to talk. The world we live in today is a stark, unfortunate contrast of privilege and hardship. For too long, the voices of those marginalized, those left behind, have been drowned out. They constitute the bulk of humanity. These are the voices of the poor, the displaced, the vulnerable. We cannot in good conscience leave them behind. They should be at the center of our discussions and our decisions. Africa in particular knows the cost of being left out. Yes, we're a continent rich in potential and resilient in the face of adversity, but we have also been disadvantaged by a global system that has generally treated us as an afterthought. We've been viewed merely as passive recipients of aid rather than as equal partners in global progress. The well-meaning promises of assistance have failed to materialize to bring about the long-term change we so passionately need. Such aid as is offered often comes with strings attached, limiting our ability to shape our own futures. Africa is not a continent of despair.
Yes, Mr. President, Africa is a continent of despair if we have leaders who are only talking and not acting. When we have leaders who are only talking and not acting, then we will have Africa. We will say Africa is a continent of despair. Let's continue and listen to what Mr. President's speech, because Mr. President has spoken a lot, but as usual, it is all about talking and not action.
She's full of great possibilities. She's required, however, to chart a new course of development. Our young population is filled with energy, creativity, and ambition. The people of Africa are not asking for handouts. They're demanding opportunities in the new global architecture so they can have access to education, healthcare, and jobs to be able to build better lives for themselves, their families, and their descendants. In Ghana, we've taken bold and decisive steps to ensure that no one is left behind in our national development, and we have shown that it is possible. Our flagship free senior high school policy has benefited 5.7 million young people.
Yeah, so the president is talking about free senior high school in his country. And yet, after those young men and women graduate, there are no jobs. They have to run to seek greener pastures outside of their country to be able to live a dignified life. So what good has the free senior high school will do for your country? If after graduating, there are no jobs, they have to be running to Europe to seek for greener pastures. And these are evident. Some of them have to go through the desert, the Sahara Desert, the Mediterranean Sea. You have graduates from especially West Africa. West African leaders, honestly, you have failed citizens of West Africa. You have failed citizens of West Africa. So it is not just about good diction, speaking good English, trying to slang your English. It is not that. The English will go chop. Graduates from West Africa, Nigeria, Ghana, they are going through the desert, crossing the Mediterranean Sea, some of them perishing. So what good is the senior high school if you cannot give them jobs? According to what we are hearing, in Ghana, graduates after graduating from university, you have to go and buy jobs. They are buying jobs. They have jobs and they will price it. If you want to be a policeman, this is how you will pay. If you want to work in a factory, this is how you will pay. If you want to be a teacher, this is how you will pay. You have to buy to be a teacher. Yes, you have to buy to be a nurse. After you are qualified, you are fully trained, qualified nurse, you have to go and buy it. The employment, you have to go and buy it. A friend of mine told me he wants to be immigration officer. They charge him, is it how much? For 200 million old Ghana cedis. I don't know how much is it today. But they have to charge him for him to pay. If you don't pay, you will not get it. So what good is the free senior high school for your citizens, Mr. President? Now we need more action rather than just talking. Let's go and finish what Mr. President is saying.
Many of whom would have been denied the opportunity to learn, to dream, and to succeed. This initiative has transformed the lives of millions, positioning the next generation of Ghanaians to take their place as leaders in the global economy. But this is just the beginning. We need a global commitment to ensure that every child, no matter where they are born, has access to quality education. A world where children are left unprepared for the challenges ahead is not a just world. Beyond education, we've also prioritized health care for our people. Through Agenda 111, my government has embarked on the largest ever healthcare infrastructure project in Ghana's history. This initiative is constructing 111 hospitals across the country, ensuring that even the most remote regions have access to modern healthcare facilities.
Mr. President, according to Ghanaians, your Agenda 111 has never been materialized. I am speaking on behalf of voiceless Ghanaians, because according to Ghanaians, your Agenda 111, you cannot even point. You promised them 110 or 11 hospitals, but you cannot even point 10 out of the 111 the past 8 years that you have been in power. And now you are leaving. And according to what Ghanaians are saying, your vice president is continuing with these same promises that you promised 8 years ago. So, Mr. President, if you really want your vice president to win the elections, then something has to be done in the next 3-4 months. In the next 3 months. Because according to Ghanaians, everything that you went to the United Nations and spoke about, how Agenda 111, free senior high school, one dam, one village, and then other stuff, that you have not even done 30% of it. But you promised them that 8 years ago. So what are you going to do in the next 3 months if you are not able to do it 8 years? Mr. President, democracy and all this long talk, we don't need it. All this good English, we don't need it. We want actions just like those in the Sahel. I keep reminding you about those in the Sahel because most of you are conning us in the name of democracy. You are pretending and telling us that we should only follow democracy whilst our people are languishing in poverty. Let's go and finish watching what Mr. President is saying here.
This is part of our broader goal of ensuring that no one in Ghana is left without the basic right to health. We've also taken significant steps to boost food security and economic growth through the Program for Planting for Food and Jobs. This initiative has improved food production, created jobs, and enhanced incomes for millions of Ghanaians. It is a clear demonstration that with the right policies and investments, we can transform our agricultural sector and ensure that no one goes hungry. In the same vein, our one district, one factory policy is transforming the industrial landscape of the nation, generating the structural transformation of our economy, which is our major strategic objective. And in addition, Ghana has embraced in full the teachings of the Fourth Industrial Revolution and is actively pursuing an agenda of digitalization. Under my administration, we've revolutionized public service delivery by integrating technology into governance. From the introduction of the Ghana card, which has streamlined identification and access to services, to the digitalization of the country's land registry, these reforms have enhanced transparency, efficiency, and accountability. Digitalization has improved the lives of ordinary Ghanaians and has also laid the groundwork for sustainable economic growth in the digital age. And let us not forget the strides we have made in enhancing the rule of law and governance. Through reforms in the judicial system, strengthening our democratic institutions, and promoting transparency, Ghana continues to be a beacon of good governance in Africa. We have enacted laws and implemented policies that uphold the principles of accountability and ensure that every Ghanaian, regardless of their background, is protected by the rule of law. Madam President, it is impossible to address the challenges of today without speaking of the contradictions that exist within this global institution.
Ghana being the beacon of good governance, democracy, rule of law. Mr. President, according to what Ghanaians are saying, is that you went to the United Nations to and take the platform as a campaign platform. You went to the UN General Assembly to campaign. They don't know whether you were in a campaign platform or you were addressing the world, because most of the things that you are talking about is on your campaign manifesto. So they don't know what you're talking about, honestly. And talking about good governance, rule of law, what Ghanaians are saying is that as we speak now, most of their young comrades are in police custody. They are being remanded for 2 weeks for just coming out to demonstrate against what they call galamsey. According to Ghanaians, as we speak now, the future that you are living for them, as you said, that future will not, is very bleak, because that in that particular future that you are living for them, they cannot have good water to drink, because galamsey has spoiled everything. Galamsey, the water bodies in Ghana, they will not have clean water to drink 10 years after you left them. 10 years after you leave office, they will not have clean water to drink unless you do something.
This is rivers in Ghana, and this is river in China. This is waterfall in Ghana, this is waterfall in China. Is this not sad? Imagine waking up one day to find your rivers poisoned and your farmlands barren. This is the reality Ghana faces today, all because of galamsey or illegal mining. Our once clear rivers like the Pra and Unkobra are now murky, toxic, and undrinkable. Farmlands that fed entire communities are destroyed, making it harder for farmers to grow crops. And why has this been allowed to continue? Foreign companies, especially from China, are coming to our country and destroying our lands to take our resources. They pollute our rivers and leave our soil damaged. Despite promises and efforts, our leaders and government have failed. Corruption and the involvement of powerful individuals have weakened the fight against galamsey. Military operations have come and gone, but the devastation remains. We've watched our environment suffer while those responsible walks free, but the worst is yet to come. If we don't act now, the future of Ghana is at stake. Soon, we may need to import drinking water. Future generations could grow up in a country stripped of its natural resources, dependent on others for survival. Our rivers, our land, our health all sacrificed for short-term gain. The lesson here is clear. Our environment is not something we can afford to lose. If we don't hold our leaders and ourselves accountable, we will pay the ultimate price.
Something about it. So, Mr. President, the reason why we, the citizens of Africa, the young citizens of Africa, are admiring those in the Sahel is because they are standing for their people, not in the name of any so-called democracy, but sincerely, those in the Sahel are working for the good of their citizens. Whilst most of you, the so-called democratic leaders, you are doing worse under the guise of democracy. Because in the name of democracy, as I keep repeating, your citizens are still, women in your country are still having babies bare floor in hospitals. In the name of democracy, young people are still perishing in the Mediterranean Sea. In the name of your so-called democracy, people cannot live a dignified life. And after 8 years of talking democracy, after 8 years of talking democracy in your leadership, the same situation Ghanaians are still going through. So what has your democracy done for your people in 8 years? But within 3-4 years, there are good evidence coming out from the Sahel. We can all see it. We don't need you to tell us what democracy or dictatorship will do for us. We are young men and women. We are intelligent enough to know what your 8 years of democracy have done for your people in Ghana and what 3 years of so-called dictatorship are doing for the people of the Sahel. So we prefer what the Sahel leaders are doing rather than what your so-called democracy is providing, the result your so-called democracy is providing for your citizens. I thank you very much for coming around. Please, if you appreciate what we are doing here, it is not easy. We are working full-time at the same time doing this. Please support our mission. Let us all together fight for a united, because all these things that Mr. President is saying, all these things that different African leaders, they will go to the United Nations complaining and crying. It will all stop if we unite the continent of Africa. It is only unity that can give us the dignity that we deserve. Many people are saying we should first of all unite our respective countries. We should first of all solve our problems in our respective countries before we talk about unity. I appreciate that. I appreciate those making those comments. It is better to make your comments watching the video rather than just passing by. Yes, we are learning from that. And then we will all together, we all want a better Africa. So we will all together figure out what is good for us as children of Africa. If we should first of all, because 60 years ago when Kwame Nkrumah was talking about unity of Africa, there were other people who were saying that no, we should first of all solve the problems in our our respective countries before we can talk about uniting the continent of Africa. And after 60, getting to 70 years, we are still stuck in being disrespected by those colonial criminals. So yes, we may have different problems in our different respective countries, but unity of Africa should be our main priority. That is why we are here in One Africa Mission. So please support our mission as we embark on this. How do you support us? It's only sharing what we are doing, also subscribing to our YouTube channel, also on Facebook, on TikTok, you can follow us. Let us all together bring our energies together and handle a better united Africa for the next generation of Africans. The disrespect of Africa should be enough, should stop in this century. This generation of Africans, we have the chance never before afforded to any generation of Africans to bring that change. Let us do it, not just for us, but for the next generation of Africans. Thank you very much.